To please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Wednesday, April 10, 2024, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Tuesday, April 9, 2024 was read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the Journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions, messages from the Assembly, messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Good afternoon, Senator Gianaris.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. On behalf of Senator Granardis, on page 38, I offer the following amendments to Calendar 699, Senate Print 99, and ask the said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
The amendments are received and the bill shall retain its place on the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
On behalf of Senator Clear, I wish to call up Senate Print 1979, recalled from the Assembly, which is now at the desk.
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 148, Senate Print 1979 by Senator Clear. An act in relation to requiring the Empire State Development Corporation in consultation with the New York State University of New York.
To reconsider the vote by which the bill was passed.
The Secretary will call the roll on reconsideration.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Sewell, Cousins, White, ayes 50.
The bill is restored to its place on the third reading calendar.
I offer the following amendments.
Amendments are received.
At this point, we're going to call an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee in room 332 and stand at ease.
There will be an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee in room 332. The Senate will stand at ease.
Mr. President, there's a report of the Rules Committee at the desk. Can we take that up, please?
The Secretary will read.
Senator Stewart Cousins from the Committee on Rules reports the following bill. Senate Print 9036. Senator Kruger, an act making appropriations for the support of government. Bill reports read to third reading.
Move to accept the report of the Rules Committee.
All those in favor of accepting the report of the Rules Committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The report of the Rules Committee is accepted. Senator Gianaris.
Please take up the supplemental calendar.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 792, Senate Print 9036 by Senator Kruger, an act making appropriations for the support of government.
I believe there's a message of necessity and appropriation at the desk.
There is a message of necessity and appropriation at the desk.
Move to accept the message.
All those in favor of accepting the message, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The message is accepted. The bill is before the House. Laid aside. Bill is laid beside. Senator Gianaris, that completes reading of the supplemental calendar.
On to the controversial calendar, please.
Secretary will ring the bell. Secretary will read.
Calendar number 792, Senate Print 9036 by Senator Kruger, an act making appropriations for the support of government.
Senator Lanza, why do you rise?
Or O'Mara, either one.
Oh, sorry.
But I'll go.
my
you.
apologies,
Thank
Senator
you,
O'Mara. Senator
I
O'Mara, why do you
worse
rise?
things, trust me. Mr. President, will Senator Kruger yield for a couple questions on this?
Will Senator Kruger yield? Senator Kruger yields.
I'll be Senator Kruger, yes, thank you.
Okay, Senator, we have yet another extender before us here today on April 11th. So the budget is now officially 10 days late. What does this extender do for us today?
Continues to make sure all of the payments are made and people get paid through April 15th. So it's pretty much the one we did earlier in the week, extending till Monday the 15th.
Through you, Mr. President, if the Senator will yield.
Senator yield?
Yes, I will.
Senator yields.
My understanding, Senator Kruger, was what the extender we did earlier this week really covered payrolls through next Tuesday for next week's payroll. And this extender really doesn't add anything towards payrolls. It continues some programs that might have ended.
It does cover payroll for some specific programs of the state. So the extender we did earlier in the week covered payroll for state workers, and this ensures continuing pay for an assortment of programs that contract through the state, such as the WIC program, the Indian Health Program, Department of Labor for the continuation of UIB benefits, the Homeless Veterans Housing Program, and some non-personnel service payments as well.
Thank you, Senator. Through you, Mr. President, the Senator will continue to yield.
Senator Yield?
Yes.
Senator Yields?
And what's the total of the appropriation in this extender?
$1.3 billion to meet payroll costs and allow certain payments for, again, a number of categories of programs, including the judiciary, the legislature, not us, but the staff, the Department of Health, Supplemental Nutrition WIC program, as I just said, Department of Labor, Department of Veterans Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senator will continue to yield.
Senator Yield?
Yes.
Senator Yields?
Senator, we've heard a lot of talk in the hallways, at least, about table targets being out there. What can you tell us about the status of table targets?
I don't think there's been any formal announcement of table targets at this time. I believe that there still is an intention to have those. Obviously, nothing is going as quickly as we all hoped since it is April 10th. Today, 11th or 10th?
11th.
11th. It is April 11th, and we still are not at that point.
Mr. President, the Senator will continue to yield.
Will the Senator yield?
Yes.
Senator Yields?
So, without a budget being in place, by next Tuesday, we will have to do another extender on Tuesday or on Monday?
I believe this only goes through Monday.
So we'll have to do an extender on Tuesday or do it on Monday?
I believe that would be an extender on Monday.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
On the bill, Mr. President.
Senator O'Mara on the bill.
Yeah, you know, here we are, 10 days late, really no further progress on the budget that anybody's aware of, certainly not the public, since Monday or Tuesday of this week when we did the last extender. You know, even the media isn't even calling this a late budget at this point. You know, back when I remember that Republicans were part of this equation of three men in a room, on April 2nd, the budget was late, and the media was raising hell about it. But now they report it as an extended deadline. So the budget deadline has been extended. So based on that, we're now, and the budget's still due April 1st, so apparently we're at March 42nd. And by the time we get here next week to do the next extender, we'll be at, I think, March 47th, and we'll go on from there. But the budget is late. I asked about table targets because we set up these budget subcommittees. Those committees have not met since day one of the budget discussions after the one-house budgets came out. The day after, I believe they met. And there's been no further meetings. The tables, the various subject matter areas of the budget don't have any targets to talk about. They haven't met. It'll be interesting to see whether they ultimately do meet when they do get table targets and do anything of substance. So, you know, this is not the way we should be running state government. There certainly should be more transparency and openness with the public, with the taxpayers of New York State on where this budget stands, and we should be working far more diligently to get this job done rather than just extending the budget deadline. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator O'Mara. Senator Borrello on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, we're late on this budget, but it's really not because of numbers. It's not because of the finances of the state. It's because of controversial policy that is included in this budget, things that we cannot get agreement on. I think that's the problem here, folks. In local government, like county government, you do a budget, and it's about the finances of the state, your projections of revenue and what you're going to spend. That's what the budget should be about. And if it were, I suspect we would probably have an on-time budget. Instead, we're hiding controversial policy within the cracks and crevices of this very large document. That's why I'm very proud to support Senator Fernandez in Bill 2062, a bipartisan bill with a lot of support from my colleagues here on this side of the aisle that would remove policy from the budget process and hold people accountable for making sure the finances are the first and only concern when we discuss and vote on a budget. So I'll be supporting this extender because it's important to folks that rely on these finances to be extended. But the bottom line is there should be no policy in the budget, and there's a large contingent on both sides of the aisle that believe that should be the case. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Tedisco on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the extender, Mr. President, Monday we had a kind of unique day. It was what they call an eclipse. The moon carried right in front of the sun, and we had total darkness. Now, I never thought, because they said it would take 24 years to have the second eclipse, I never thought we'd see the second eclipse so soon, because it's happening right here on the New York State budget right now. Total darkness. 10 days late, you'll be 15 days late. You were over 30 days late last year. I want to give you a message for my constituents. They don't want extenders. And the last thing they want to hear, and we'll be ready for it shortly, and if I had a quarter for every time I heard that from your side of the aisle, it's better to have a good late budget than a bad on-time budget. Well, I'll give you the message from my constituents. They don't want a good late budget. The Constitution says April 1st is a mandate. It's a law. Now, I know Mr. Heastie said that penalties don't help us, penalties for laws, and we can legalize all crimes and have no data on crimes. Just legalize it. Stop signs go through them, red lights go through, but people stop for signs and red lights because there's penalties. But there doesn't seem to be any penalty for what's taking place here. First time in 40 years. So my constituents want to say to you, nobody in the 44th Senatorial District, nobody, I really believe this, goes to work, sits there, has a deadline for arguably doing the most important job they're expected to do when they were hired, expects to get paid on that day, let alone have a job the next day. But the eclipse tells us today. So if you want the best view, if you're listening here, the media or my constituents, come here because the eclipse is happening over and over. Total darkness on a budget process that we're mandated to accomplish by the New York State Constitution, April 1st. Yeah, it's way past that now. It was way past that last year. And unfortunately, this is an important extender because we have to pay people. But the only reason why we have to vote for this now is because non-for-profits and our workers are not going to get paid. But our constituents don't want extenders after extender. What they want is an on-time, balanced budget. Senate's in control by you, the assemblies are controlled by your affiliation, and the governor. Nobody else to blame but you. Can't point to this side anymore. It's you. And please, you can say it's better to have a late budget, but they want an on-time budget and they want it balanced. And that's your obligation. And I know we were blaming each other for many years. You had two parts, we had one more, you had your, there's no time to blame anybody now. The constituents don't want blame, they want to get it done. So let's get it done by next week when we come back. Let's work right through, get it all set to go, just like my constituents are going to work. So on that, I'll have to support this because we have to pay our bills, but we don't need another eclipse. We already had one. It was exciting. Let's just do our budget. Let's just do our job.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is now closed. Senator Gianaris.
Mr. President, we've agreed to restore this bill to the non-controversial calendar.
Secretary will read.
Section 11, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Dabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ortso, Cousins, White.
Senator Kruger to explain her vote.
Thank you, colleagues. I hear the frustration in the room. I think everybody's suffering from some frustration. I don't agree with my dear friend Jim Tedesco. I never hear from a constituent they're worried about a late budget. They do want a good budget. I want a good budget. We all want a good budget. We might have different interpretations of that, But as long as we are paying our bills, we are assuring people that the government of New York State continues to operate. There is no interference in any issue or work that needs to be done. I actually think our constituents probably are talking to us about specific issues in the budget that they hope are in the final budget, or they hope are not in. And I think that's exactly what we are trying to do. It's an interesting question. Can you do a budget completely pure of policy? You probably can't. But to address another issue raised here, I also agree there's too much policy in this budget. We actually have worked to try to remove any number of issues that we don't think should be in the budget because A, they don't have a budget impact, and B, they get short shrift when they are done in the middle of 10 major bills filled with money issues. So I do agree with those who think that there's too much policy in this budget. I will have to take a look at the bill to see whether I could support a bill that had no policy in it, at least as it was described. And as far as we're not having events and we're not having a lot of public discussion, you know, I've been here this will be, I guess, the 23rd session. Nobody's ever done the budget in public discussions, and I've heard it said over and over again, it doesn't work that way. I don't know, sincerely, whether there's any legislative body or executive process in any state where the budget negotiations are done in public. I just don't think that I'm going to see this town do it this year. And so we are in the process we are in. We are trying to get the best budget we can out of it. And I am still hopeful, frankly, that next week might be the right week for this, but it might not be. So thank you very much. I vote yes, and I urge everyone to vote yes, because whatever your frustrations and opinions about the process and what's in there and what's not in there, I think what our constituents do want to see from us today is a guarantee that state government will continue and that people will get paid, and that is the biggest question we might face if we don't vote yes on this today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Krueger to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's supplemental calendar.
Is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the desk.
I move to adjourn until Monday, April 15th at 3 p.m., intervening days being legislative days.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Monday, April 15th at 3 p.m., with the intervening days being legislative days.